Hey John, got some great news. We've got a sponsor.
Have we?
Big thanks to the guys at Viking Covers for coming on board and supporting My Dad's Car podcast. Please check them out at vikingcovers.co.uk if you're looking for indoor or outdoor car covers. You'll be hearing a lot more from them soon, but for now, here's the episode. So yeah, in celebration of the 100th episode, I'm going to be the guest.
Is this 45 minutes of me and John just abusing you?
Let's see how it goes.
Welcome to My Dad's Car. Enjoy!
Welcome to My Dad's Car, a podcast discussing our personal relationship with automotive nostalgia. And you know what? It doesn't even have to be about your dad's car. It can be your mum's, your grand's, your parents', guardians, or even a neighbour's. If it made an impression, let's talk about it.
Hello?
Hello. There he is. We've got to play Guess the Car. Oh, we can't hear you, Paul.
Guess the words as well.
Oh, you're on mute, I think.
Right, let's try that.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Oh, so I got a new phone, so I made the mistake of trying to set this up on my new phone, which is a stupid idea. I should have just stayed with my old one. So every setting was like, do you want to allow this? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And I was like, I don't know. Yes, probably, but maybe not. But yeah, the car isn't exciting today. I'm just in my disco because I've had to go and pick up a customer's Celica. So I'm not in anything exciting. I was tempted to quickly run and grab something exciting, but I ran out of time.
Yeah, no one's going to see it. So.
No.
Cool. So yeah, the premise is this will be the 100th episode. So yeah, we'll do kind of a quick intro, and then it's over to you. Really, you guys, you've listened to enough of these, and you can throw a load of questions at me. I've given you a bit of a rundown on WhatsApp, but up to you where we go.
Is this 45 minutes of me and John just abusing you?
Well, I'd rather not call it abuse.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
It feels slightly pressurized anyway. I've kind of set up this concept and had done some really good interviews with people, and now it's all going to turn to muck.
No. To be fair, you've got a decent car history. You've got decent car stuff, especially with your dad and all the stuff that you've sent us to read through.
Yeah.
You've done all sorts, which I had no idea about, to be fair.
Yeah.
There's a fair amount in there. So we'll start with a welcome to Paul Harding, who joins us as a we gave you a title, didn't we? Chief Interrogator or something like that.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I can't remember what it was. Yeah. I asked for a job title. I said I must have one.
So Paul joins us. Today we're celebrating the 100th episode of My Dad's Car. So if you're listening to this, we've managed 100 episodes, which, John, that's pretty good going, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, who'd have thought that?
Yeah.
Certainly not me. When did we start? Was it in COVID or after COVID?
After COVID. It was the first episode went out the day before or the day after I turned 40.
Right.
So we're about 2.5 years in.
Right, okay.
That's not full episodes. That's kind of including bonuses, us chatting about toy cars or car parking rants and stuff. But
Yeah.
we've done a fair whack.
Yeah, no, it's been good. Spoke to lots of interesting people, haven't we?
Indeed, yeah, we met loads of people.
Is it more popular than you expected? What did you go into it when you started it? Did you have a where you wanted it to end up, or you just thought, let's have a bash at this and see what happens?
I don't really know where I wanted it to go. I think when you look at the numbers and you kind of know what other kind of podcasts are doing, it would be great if we were doing bigger numbers. But yeah, you kind of look at some of the other ones, they've already got a platform, like Chris Harris, for argument's sake. Like he's been on the telly, and Jason Plato and people like that, where they've all kind of their racers, and we are a couple of guys from nowhere, pretty much. So it's building up, and it's slowly. And what's really nice is when you go back through the numbers and the stats, and you then discover, like yesterday, someone listened to John's episode, which is like episode 3.
Yeah,
and no rhyme or reason really that they've done that, but yeah, maybe they went on and
thanks, Mum.
maybe they went on and searched for one of the cars John mentioned or something like that on podcasts, and then up it came. So it is cool.
You must get a few little. I'm just flat out doing something, but I've got my headphones on, and it will just randomly jump. Sometimes I will end up with something listening to that I never intentionally do. I go, oh, I'll listen to this. Other times it's horrendous, so I don't want to listen to it, and I make the effort of getting my phone out my pocket and going, oh my God, what is this? Get rid of it.
Yeah. I get that a lot because I listen to stuff while I'm working.
Same.
Obviously using tools. So, yeah, if that comes on and I'm not prepared to sort of down tools, take gloves off, then yeah, I just have to stick with it and endure whatever nonsense it is.
You're like me. You're like me then, because if a podcast has got tons and tons of adverts and sponsorship, I'm likely to listen to it less because, like you said, I've got my hands full, my hand, I'm bit, and I'm like, I just can't be bothered to sit and get it all out and turn it off and move it on. So I try and pick things that aren't going to bombard me, or just sit and listen for adverts for like 2 hours straight.
Most of the adverts now that on the stuff that I listen to is for NordVPN. When we all know why people are being pushed to download that
one. Yes, very much so. Yeah, yes, yeah. To be fair, I've actually seen a couple of creators that have been straight up and honest about why to download it. You should download this because you can pretend you live in the Netherlands and they don't have the same laws that we have. Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that, but
it's funny because before the new rulings came in, I was listening to a podcast that were already sponsored by NordVPN. So when they used to push it, it'd be with regards to, when you're abroad, you can bounce your VPN and watch football.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's just straight off. You can go and have some me time.
Yeah. I assume we should get some royalties for NordVPN for this, I think, somewhere.
Advert. So in celebration of the 100th episode, I'm going to be the guest. So over to John and Paul to run the show, gentlemen.
Yeah, everyone knows who you are, Andy. So I guess we should just go straight into it and say, what's your earliest car memory?
So I think the earliest car memory is a white Vauxhall Cavalier Mark II. I really wanted it to be an MGB. My stepfather had a green MGB. I knew he had it, but just don't remember it, So, it's a slightly more lowly vehicle. But, the number plate ended DMX, and I really wanted it to say BMX. I must have been 4 or 5. My parents told me it stood for Daddy, Mummy, Kiss, which I guess is a really cute thing to say to kind of a 4 or 5-year-old.
Yeah.
I've sat in one since, a Mark II Cavalier, and they've got really itchy interiors. Like the seats are just made of that sort of woolly, like tweed type thing.
Fibrous, sort of.
I'm disappointed to hear you say they're itchy because I associate, granted they're probably Mark III Cavaliers, but soft velour interior. I always picture them as soft.
Mark III Cavaliers have got a lovely interior.
And you said itchy, and I was like, what? I don't ever picture them being itchy, but obviously they were.
Yeah, the fabric's not dissimilar to, like the poverty spec Mark I, Mark II Golf, which always frays. It's kind of got that sort of woven, like potato sack type feeling.
Yeah, Seat Marbella's like that.
Like those chairs you used to get in the library.
That's it, yeah. my Seat Marbella, if you sit in it and you've just got an inch at the bottom of your back where your T-shirt's lifted up, it drives you insane. You sit there trying to fidget and get rid of the seat because it's so uncomfortable.
A Hessian or something like that.
Yeah, it does feel like sitting on a Hessian bag, yeah.
So, the interior was like that. I can't remember what colour the interior was. I don't think it was a red one. I think it was sort of dark.
Surely brown.
Blue or black or so. Oh, yeah, it might have been brown.
Yeah, white with brown as common colour then.
But that was white. So, we lived in Maidstone in Kent. My grandparents were down in Sussex, so we did quite a bit of sort of moving around. And my dad was in the Medway Towns in Gillingham in Kent. So when we moved down to Sussex in about 88, 89, we moved down after the storm. Then there was kind of, a bit of sort of back and forth with that. But that was probably the first car, the White Cavalier.
So just to get my head around the logistics, you moved down because, was that to be closer to your grandparents, or was that work related with your mother and stepdad?
Yeah, work related. So my mum and dad sort of broke up within like a year or so of me coming along. My mum met my stepfather, and he had this green MGB for a bit. He had a bunch of motorbikes as well, and he was a teacher. He was a PE teacher. So he got a job down in Southsea, I think it was. So we kind of came down this way, but my mum's parents were already down in Worthing, and then his folk moved down from Coulsdon a year or two later or whatever. Right. So sort of the south coast beckoned, but my dad remained in Kent. So kind of every few weeks we'd go up, especially when I was a lot younger, we'd kind of drive up and meet him kind of up there, and then I'd do like a day out with him.
Yeah.
Either back to his place, or like we'd do Brands Hatch, or we'd go to Lyddon, or we'd go and watch like Grass Track or something like that.
Yeah.
So I spent quite a lot of time on the M20, M26.
Yeah.
M25.
It's like me now.
Yeah.
So was your mum a driver at this point? Was she driving?
Yeah. Mum drove. So kind of back in the day when we had the Cavalier, it would have just been the one car, I think. And Tim, my stepdad, was on a motorbike. What was the second car we got? don't know actually. I think after
I was going to say, in later years, I remember your mum doing a sort of Part X job with a Corrado with my brother and a Shrek green Polo, wasn't there?
yeah. So yeah, much later, yeah, we called that the Vomit Comet. It was a six N like almost color concept like Mark IV Polo. And I think your brother had that, didn't he? And
Yeah.
my mum had a Corrado, which I sort of talked her into, and I'd kind of lined that up that I was going to buy it, and I just couldn't afford to buy it, and then put KWs and a set of D90s on it, so it had to go. So yeah, we did a bit of a deal on that. But yeah, I think after the Cavalier, so the Cavalier blew up. We were driving, I think, back down to Sussex. We broke down, I think, on the A23, kind of outside Brighton, and that was back in the day, like where you'd have to go and knock on someone's house and see if you could use a phone. So I remember doing that, and I think at that point, if my brother was about, he would have been proper young. Yeah, and if not, then yeah, he was kind of months or sort of only a year away. So yeah, we broke down and the engine went bang, head gasket or something along those lines, and it got recovered. And we had this mechanic called Ray, who I've looked him up, but I just can't find him anywhere. So if anyone's kind of familiar with a chap called Ray Ingram, who was a mechanic in Maidstone in the 80s, then I think he was a bit of a legend. He had a workshop which was behind like this big row of terraced houses. It was really long. And you walked down this kind of ramp to the side of one of these houses. And then kind of his workshop was like in this almost like a tunnel behind.
Right.
And on the ramp, there was a couple of Porsches, so 911s. And I don't know what sort of race series he did. But yeah, they were kind of race cars that he had there.
Nice.
And I wasn't really into Porsches or anything as such. I think if anything during childhood, like Ferraris with a thing, like that was what sort of took my interest.
The Porsches didn't hold the value then either. They didn't have the same cachet they have now. So when you would have seen them and he would have owned them, they weren't what they are now. A Ferrari was still special then, as where a Porsche was, but not as special as a Ferrari back then.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, whether he was, it certainly wasn't banger racing, but whether, I don't know if they had windows or not, whether he was rally crossing them maybe, or whether they were kind of, I don't know, some sort of track championship. But yeah, he could pedal. We went through his workshop and yeah, obviously you get the engine oil smell and kind of all the noises and everything going on. Then you sort of walk through like a, you know, some workshops have like these clear vinyl plastic doors, which sort of just hang like draft exclusions. You walk through that and you just get a waft of like cellulose paint or something like that, or filler.
It's definitely in the 80s now.
Yeah, that probably the earliest car workshop I remember going in. But yeah, he fixed the car up and drove it home. And whether it was after the car got dropped there, he dropped my mum back. But he drove Kent to Worthing in under an hour. I remember my mum telling me, like, yeah, that was kind of a bit of a wild ride.
Sheesh.
Yeah, pre-speed cameras and all the rest. But yeah, he was giving it some beans.
Wow.
You said he put a bigger engine in it. You said he put the 2 litre, not the 1.8.
Yeah, he put it was either a 1.6 or a 1.8, and he put a 2 litre in it, so it went a bit. And then I remember my stepdad saying when he sold the car and someone took it for a test drive, they said, oh, it kind of went well for a 1.8.
Yeah.
So yeah, someone was kind of driving a resto modded Cavalier without knowing it. But
Yeah.
so yeah, that was that. And I think we used to tow a Caravan with that, so that was kind of holidays. We'd tow a Caravan, and then yeah, we'd load the Caravan up with bikes, and like me and my brother would kind of get to a Caravan site, parents would set up, and we'd just be off straight to the play park, skids, wheelies, jumps, a lot.
Was it the same venue each time?
No, we'd go all over the place.
Right.
And we'd have a few different cars. I think we had a 1300 Mark II Astra we towed a Caravan with, and that was kind of asthmatic.
Yeah. There was a Montego at some stage, wasn't there, as well?
Yeah, we did a couple of Montegos.
Yeah.
At one point, I think we had 3 cars and 2 Caravans. We had like a couple of Maestros and a Montego and 2 Caravans. We lived on like a corner plot, so we had quite a bit of garden.
Yeah.
So we had like a massive drive which ran up the side of the house. So we had loads of room.
That's quite rare back then. That's quite rare to have more than 1 or 2 cars back then.
We were in between.
Yeah.
So it was kind of just a case. I guess the right Caravan came up at the right price, so we got that one instead of the other one, and then obviously sold that on. And the same with the cars. We had an MG Maestro for a bit. That was really cool. I remember going to look at that. That was from a place in Ferring, which is kind of a sort of a sleepy little village, kind of just on the outskirts of Worthing, really.
Yeah.
No street lights.
Is this all still your stepdad? Is this still all your stepdad?
Oh, yeah, this is my mum and my stepdad, yeah.
Yeah, I get.
Yeah, red MG Maestro. I think we got it out the Friday ad. And we went to go and look at that. And I remember it's like a little private estate. It was on a driveway, bright red it was. And I was like, we've got to buy this. It's kind of really cool. Yeah, we never bought a new car at all. We always bought kind of older stuff.
Mm.
Yeah, we had that for a bit. It went well, but yeah, I think it was a bit juicy in my stepdad's eyes. So we kind of moved that on.
Right. When it comes to caravanning, whose idea was it to get involved with caravanning? Was it your mother or your stepdad?
That's a good question.
Because I always wonder, there must be someone in the family that's pushing for the caravan more so.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. I'm not sure. I have nothing to do with my stepfather now, but
Right.
yeah, I don't know whose kind of influence it was. Like, yeah, my dad, as we called him, like he would he would always drive. It would be him towing the caravan.
Mm.
He was kind of perfectly happy with that.
Was it a natural progression? Did you go, like most people, did you go tents, then to caravan?
No, it was always caravans.
Straight
I
in.
remember years and years and years ago, there might have been like the occasional sort of pontins type thing where you'd meet up with another family and you'd kind of stay somewhere, but it was pretty much caravans. And then we got in with kind of a group of families who'd all do caravan holidays, and you sort of all you'd kind of do one of them a year, and then we'd go and do a few like half terms or something at other places. Went to a place called Shorefield in the New Forest quite a bit actually.
Right.
We did that one quite a lot. But yeah, that was that. I bought a few cars with my mum actually. Again, kind of a bit older. I must have been, I don't know, 12 or something like that. We bought a 2.8 4x4 Sierra Estate from a dealership in Worthing, and we went out kind of looking for a car that would be suitable. We kind of looking across the dealership, and this was, I guess it was into the 90s, and the car was on I think it was on an A or a C plate, so it kind of done some time. But it was a gear. It had electric windows all round, rear center armrest, which I've always thought is kind of the definition of luxury in a, like, especially when you kind of think of the cars I brought up with. And yeah, we bought that, which we had for a while. That kind of pulled a caravan like a train.
You had to hunt cars then, though. You would have had to go and look. I think you mentioned, you said your granddad would often go past a dealer and suddenly go, I've seen a car I like.
Yeah.
And trying to explain to people now that you had to drive to places to go and look at another car. And you'd see friends would tell, I swear I've seen one of them on a forecourt and direct you where it is. And then the spec of it, you had to go to the forecourt and look through the window because the salesman wouldn't know. So you had to look through the window and see if you've got electric rear windows. Does it have a centre armrest? So it wasn't in the same way. And you go, okay, I'll take that as the best one I can find.
Yeah, I don't recall a lot of kind of shopping around as such.
No, you didn't.
I'm not sure what the sort of criteria was for changing the vehicle, because the Cavalier aside, obviously that sort of went bang and then they changed it, had it for a bit. And I don't know what we were gaining, I guess trying to get something slightly newer. I know we did go backwards in age with the Sierra, but that was a proper car. We drove that to Northumberland, I'm pretty sure.
That would have towed a Caravan better, a 1300 Astra. That must have been tough work.
Yeah, we didn't take the Caravan to Northumberland, but yeah, I'm sure we drove that up. So yeah, I don't know who implemented the Caravan Holidays, but they were good fun. I enjoyed those. And my wife doesn't like camping, but that's kind of, my brother's got a camper van and they love it with his kids.
Yeah, with kids, they just enjoy anything.
So yeah, you mentioned my grandfather. So he had a quadruple heart bypass, and his surgeon told him he had to walk a mile a day or something like that, and he did it basically like clockwork. And he had a dog, and he'd kind of go for walks. And right around the corner from them, sort of quarter of a mile or something, was Caffin's, a VW dealership. So he'd kind of walk past that, and then he'd go past other places. And he'd come home and say to my nan, he called her Poppet. And he'd say, oh yeah, I found this. And then kind of next week, my nan would turn up with a new car. And she was probably kind of the family. She was the one who'd kind of had the newest cars, certainly.
Yeah.
Maybe not the nicest, but yeah. Probably the earliest car I remember her having. She had a Datsun, I think it was a Cherry coupe, like sort of gunmetal silvery colour one, probably on a, I don't know, X plate, something like that. And she was kind of the main driver, really. My granddad drove, but...
Was there any reason why old Datsuns, they seem to be exclusively driven by elderly ladies, didn't they, back in the day? Or little micros, or...
Yes, they did, yeah.
I think if you think about kind of back then, it's a bit like sort of, it's not even taking a chance these days, but if you kind of go back 10 years ago, buying a Kia was kind of considered a little bit of a chance. Maybe you were a bit of a salesman's dream if you were a pensioner.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
They could sell you those benefits. And I think kind of back in the 80s, probably the same with Japanese. Like you probably were programmed to buy a Ford or a Vauxhall maybe.
I feel that happens now because if you look at most MG electric cars, they're often driven by an old person.
Karens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always feel like someone there's been tucked up. They've walked in there and they've gone, oh, yes, this is just like the MGs back in the day.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, that's a lovely car, that is. I couldn't afford an MG. And they give the story over how it was a Rover. The MG was fancy. And they won't know the difference. And then suddenly they've spent probably £140,000 on an electric MG that they don't want and is worthless in about 2 years' time.
Their electric bill was quadrupled.
Yeah.
I reckon, yeah, there was an influx of the Japanese stuff. Like they got a name for reliability, didn't they? They were, especially sort of in the late 80s, 90s, like the interiors were bland as you like, but they went on and on and on. Like no one bought a Primera because it was stylish necessarily, but it did the job. Until Matt Neal raced on and Anthony Reid and David Leslie example. But
I suppose it's cost saving, isn't it? It's saving. So you would buy the Japanese car because it was probably at the time a little bit cheaper. And it was reliable, and it was reliable.
Yeah.
And I guess but they still happen because you get older. I suppose you care less, don't you? You just want something that works and is easy. I'll just have that.
Yeah, you don't want to break down.
No.
And yeah, I suppose you want something that's got the toys. And if you're not sort of, I guess, super patriotic to the buying the British brand, the Vauxhall or the Ford, then yeah, that's probably.
And this is in the days when 60,000 miles was classed as basically a car's written off.
Yeah.
That's high. 100,000 was absolutely. I can't believe you're driving a car with 100,000 miles on it. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I guess you would buy the new car because you deemed it reliable. You deemed it had warranty. So I thought, yeah, I'll get one. Which I suppose that does happen. Like what I said with the MG, you do see. Is it the little Dacia? Is it Dacia Spring, the little tiny electric thing?
Yeah.
They're often driven by older people as well because they're so cheap. But I guess it's brand new. You're the first owner. You've got warranty, and you think, well, I'll take that then.
So yeah, my nan wasn't on my mum's side. She wasn't brand loyal. So after that Cherry. So I don't know the exact order. She definitely had a Mark II Golf, and I'm pretty sure it was a Tour. It was silver, 5-door. I remember the seats in that being really firm. So like generally speaking, no one would have sat in the back of those cars. Like occasionally grandchildren. That was about it. She had that. She had a Corolla. I'm not sure. I think the Corolla was on like a G plate, so it's sort of a 5-door, but sort of coupe shape, hatchback shape.
Red.
Yeah, red. Yeah, with a little sort of built-in. It's quite nicely styled, sort of a little built-in kick sort of spoiler on the back, and then it's sort of rounded round. She had that. Then she had a BX in there, so you've got a coin to hand. I haven't.
Yeah, I can say, got to be a BX.
There was a yay.
Best I can do.
There you go.
So yeah, she had a cream BX, which I think she bought new. And around the same time, my grandfather bought a red AX 3-door, so 1 litre sort of real basic spec thing. So he'd potter around in that, and yeah, they had the BX. And my aunt lived down in New Milton in New Forest. So I remember going down there, sort of M27, down to the New Forest in the BX. And that kind of just whizzed along. I don't know what engine it was. It wasn't GTI. But I also remember it had like a hidden radio flap on those.
Very swish.
So yeah, that was quite a comfortable car.
That won't have had itchy seats.
No, I don't think it did.
No, they'll be comfy. They got to be velour in that, surely. BXs were comfy seats.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, she had that for a bit.
Just talking of seats, just to sort of just come into my head. Do you remember like in the sort of mid to late or early to mid 90s, those like bead type contraptions that used to sit on like the taxi drivers would have them on their seat.
Oh, over the top.
They're supposed to be like
Orthopedic or something.
orthopedic or something.
Yeah.
They looked horrendous, but
I've never sat on one. You see them in nowadays, actually. Andy would have seen them. You used to have a spell where they used to be in all the Volkswagens, like Mark 1 Polos and stuff used to have the bead seats.
right.
Retro accessory.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the same era as the stupid static thing that would hang on the back, but never touch the ground.
yeah.
So I was like, well, that can't do anything because it doesn't touch the ground. So, yeah, they're the same era of that, aren't they? And I've never understood the beaded seat covers. Surely that's just really uncomfortable. I don't see how it helps your back.
Yeah.
Do you reckon it lifts you off the seat to the point where you don't get a sweaty back? Is that where it's at, rather than it being a massage thing?
Yeah, maybe.
Because in my Porsche, for example, it's black leather, and if you drive that on a hot day, you get out and you could wring your t-shirt out. Like,
Well, the answer to this is me and John are going to get you a beaded seat cover.
and put it in the Porsche.
I want to see it in the Porsche, and you could tell us on a hot summer's day, is your back sweaty? Yes or no? I don't know. Was it just letting the droplets of sweat through the beads and then it runs down the seat into a puddle at the bottom?
No, because you just not got that flat kind of full contact. You could have a bit of airflow, wouldn't you? That's what it's giving you rather than.
Be just like sitting at a cooled seat in a Range Rover.
It was definitely a taxi driver must-have, though, back in the day.
Yeah.
They're all in there. Anyway, sorry
Just
to digress. This is about you, Andy.
Torture instrument.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got a BX. She bought so she had a motor caravan, what they called a motor caravan. It was, I guess, sort of motorhome type thing, for a bit. And her sister bought them actually. So they used to go on little holidays together. They bought a T25. My granddad spotted that on a walk. So yeah, she bought a camper van for a bit.
Good spot.
She had a Mark IV Golf.
Also good car.
And she had a string of Corollas actually from Yeomans. So yeah, that was my nan's stuff. Nan on my other side, so my stepfather's mother, she bought a E-plate burgundy Ford Escort Mark IV four-door. She bought that new. It might have been a bonus.
Is that the one without the cassette player?
Yeah, it had a radio but no cassette.
See, I remember though. I can picture that in my head. I remember it. They were grey and they had the little screen in the top, and then it was where the cassette was more buttons. So it was a bit sparse because the buttons were spaced out. But yeah, it was just the radio. I remember them.
I was like,
That's unthinkable.
They're valuable now.
I don't recall kind of being in there, her sort of listening to music. My grandfather on that side didn't drive, so it was only her driving. And yeah, that, and then they had really stumpy stalks on a Mark IV Escort.
Yeah, I remember them.
They were like, they're very small. And she was a dreadful driver. She was slow at everything. And yeah, later she had a 106, silver 106 auto. The Escort was a manual actually. And I sold that for her to some guys, like for a few £100, I think, because she was giving up driving, and rightly so. But
Oh, 106 auto. I bet she's still waiting for it to change a second even now.
yeah, I remember taking that down the road, and I gave these guys a test drive. I sold that in 2008, 9 or something like that. And yeah, I took these guys up the road in it, and they're like, "It's a bit slow." And I was like, "It's a 1400 106 with an auto box. Like, what are you
An old auto box as well.
with 3 blokes in? Like, what are you expecting?"
Yeah, that's got to be painfully slow.
Did they take it?
They bought it. It was £400 or something. It had a few kind of knocks. Yeah, and the paint was a bit scabby, but it was like, it's £400. It'll get you around.
Yeah.
Still worth £400 now.
Oh yeah, it's probably worth more, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it was facelift as well. Wasn't the Mark One? It was facelift 106.
It's a lot of cars. Good old amount of vehicles there that's been churned through.
So yeah, back on mum and dad's side, we had a Mark II Astra. I mentioned before, actually got stolen from outside our house. That's a weird sensation when you kind of start looking for your car and it's not there. And that got pinched, I guess, by joyriders, but they took it like half a mile up the road and it was dumped outside the local school.
Anything stolen out of it, or just set fire to it?
Just doing the school run.
No, I didn't say it was fine. We got it back again. Job done. But we had a gold Mark II Astra later on. I drove that, I think, the day I passed my driving test to work. And we had like a multi-storey car park at work, and I had to come home and confess that I'd caught the front wing on the pillar in the multi-storey. Just put a slight ding in it. I was like, "Oh, Mum, I'm really sorry." But she was fussed, and yeah, true to form, we'd kind of bought something that was wasn't by any means new.
Who had the Toyota 1000? Or in your list, you had
Yeah, Toyota 1000. So yeah, that was another kind of.
That stuck out to me. I was like, "Whoa, look at that, a Toyota 1000."
Do you remember back in the day, there was the Worthing Herald, which was a newspaper which came out on a Thursday. And if you were really lucky, you could get it on a Wednesday night at the newsagents.
Yeah, I was the same. Yeah.
I used to always go and get it straight to the BMX section. Like, could you buy a bike for buttons? Like Mongoose or whatever. Yeah, £20. And yeah, that must have been out of that. So yeah, it was blue. It was like a 3-door, 1000cc. Pretty sure they were rear-wheel drive, you know. Really nice little car.
Oh, I think they're rear-wheel drive. Yeah. They are rare now. Really rare.
That had, black vinyl interior. So again, like you'd need beaded seat covers because you get stuck to it. The back seats didn't even have seat belts. It was a little lift back.
Do you know, did they choose that? Because that's a random car to stumble on.
I think that was bought for my stepdad to kind of run to work. He wasn't working Southsea then, I don't think. But he had that as kind of his runaround. And then Mum must have had like a Montego, a Maestro or something like that. My mum was at home for a fair bit at the time. She might have had a part-time job and stuff while we were at school, but she always did kind of school drop-off, school pick-up. So yeah, they just kind of bought it as a cheap car. They didn't kind of set out to buy anything specific. Yeah, that was a cool car that you kind of look back and go, I wasn't old enough at the time to think I really kind of want to.
No.
Realistically, we're going to have this when I start to drive. We had a Mark 1 Astra, brown 3-door Mark 1 Astra after that.
Okay.
That was a 1300, I think. I remember buying something. I can't remember what it was. It might have just been the sticker. I got an animal sticker. Do you remember animal watches?
Yeah.
They were like the Velcro straps.
Yeah.
I got this animal sticker, and I'm really precious about stickers. If you get a cool sticker, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to stick it on. And I've got a sticker somewhere from when I was 5, when I left my first school. When we moved from Kent down to Sussex, there was a kid called Jamie who gave me a sticker, which was like a motorbike and sidecar racer, sort of MotoGP kind of style, Isle of Man TT motorbike and sidecar. He gave me this sticker, and I cherished it to the point that I've never stuck it on something. I've still got it somewhere. And it was like, yeah, on the back it just says kind of good luck or whatever. And yeah, he gave me this sticker. And yeah, I stuck this animal sticker on the sun visor, I think, on that car. I was kind of, I was willing them to keep that car to a point where it's like, yeah, I could see myself bombing around in that. To kind of knock up like a GTE replica on it. And then next door to where we lived, there were two, there was a lady who was a dinner lady, actually, but she had 2 sons. Both of them were driving, and they had XR3s, 205 GTIs, XR2, and then the guy up the top of the road, a Mark 1 XR2. There was a lady up the road with 1275 GT Mini. So I kind of saw all these cool cars coming past. Yeah, Mark 1 Astra GTE next door. So yeah, I was seeing all those cool sort of hot hatches. And yeah, when other kids were reading Beanos and stuff, we'd go to Sainsbury's or whatever to buy some shopping. Mum would go, do you want a magazine? And yeah, people would be picking up the Beano. I'd buy Car and Car Conversions. I'd come home with a copy of that, or Volksworld, or Golf Plus, or something like. Yeah, and I read Max Power all through school. That was kind of part of the course.
Yeah, I did the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was. Oh, I'll show you this actually. I don't know whether it'll come up. I bought this book, which is called The Complete Customizer at a second-hand bookshop. And I always wanted to be a car designer. And I'd go through and I'd colour the pictures in. Oh, you can't see it.
I sort of see it, yeah.
Yeah, it shows you how to French rear lights. It shows you how to do roof chops and all the rest of it. That's what I was reading.
Yeah.
Have you ever built a car like that, though? I don't.
What, a hot rod type thing?
Yeah, since I've known you, I've never seen you with anything, crazy.
No, so before I could drive, I kind of badgered my parents, so mum and stepdad, that I wanted a car to work on. My dad had got me a go-kart. So yeah, my dad up in Kent had bought me a go-kart, and I brought that down. But this was a massive angle iron steel framed thing. It's like almost like off-road thing. It had actual wheels off a Mini on it. It never worked, and I had that in our big garden for a while, and we kind of pushed that around. But yeah, I really wanted a car. And again, Friday ad or whatever it was, get your Friday ad on Thursday. There was a Beetle project for sale, and I must have been 14 perhaps. White Beetle project for sale, and I persuaded my stepdad we're going to look at it. And I'd got a little bit of money in savings. I don't know what it was, 300-400 quid or something. And he decided it was too much work, but that was kind of proper, like old school, what would be now, I guess, colour coded MP8s or something on it, raised deck lid, etc. And that would have probably sat in the garden and rusted away. But I really, really wanted a cool car.
I was just about to say, I love Beatles, but he was definitely right. It would have been too much work.
Yeah.
Even then, it would have been too much work.
So yeah, kind of time passed, and a year or two later, yeah, mum and stepdad broke up anyway. But my mum decided it would be a good idea if I had a Reliant Robin because it wouldn't rust. So yeah, we found this Reliant Robin again in the free ads, and this guy was downsizing to a moped, and yeah, we bought this Reliant for I think it was £100.
Nice.
My mum refused to drive it, so this guy delivered it. So outside our kind of quite well-to-do neighbourhood was this yellow Reliant super van, and another one because his mate had followed him over in it. It was just a massive embarrassment to my mum. There's these 2 freewheeled cars outside.
Is that the reason she refused to drive it, or is it because it
Oh no, she just didn't want to drive it back.
Your mum was spot on. Yeah, she was right there. She knew deep down you were probably going to get bullied as well for having one.
Well, kind of everyone was of the assumption that you could drive it at 15, 16 or something like that because it was a freewheeler.
There used to be an urban legend, didn't there? You could, 16, you could drive it with 3 wheels.
And yeah, if you took reverse out of it or something ridiculous, and I don't think you could.
No.
So yeah, the only time I ever drove it was down the drive. I'd never driven a car before, so I drove it. The guy had put it on the road. We sort of got it onto the drive. I drove it down the drive, which was, I don't know, 25 meters or something. It was fair. It was long-ish, like enough to get a run up. And then the brakes weren't great, and I think I braked and then stalled it and hit the garage door. So that was the only time I drove it. And yeah, me and a pal of mine, we painted it black with a brush. We smoothed the back doors over, so I took the hinges off it and bolted them shut with coach bolts and smoothed it off. And I did something with it, and I changed the firing order by mistake. I remember going through all the plug combinations, get it to run again. It never ran again. So yeah, I messed around with that for a bit.
I feel that car building isn't your skill here. I'd stick to reading the books.
Good place to start, though.
So I bought a Mark 1 Polo from a scrapyard for 50 quid, and I ended up restoring that. So that did make it back on the road. I sold that 5 years ago, something like that.
That's not that long ago, to be fair.
No, I had it while I had the 944, and the problem was the Polo was in the garage and the Porsche was outside, and I was like, this is all wrong.
Yes. Yeah, I know plenty of people like that. Yeah.
I've got a 900cc Polo, which runs like an absolute sack, and I've got my Porsche outside. It's like one of them's got to go. So,
do you own anything or want anything that any of your family members had?
So yeah, the big thing would be, so on my dad's side, my dad had an E-Type. So he had a Series 1.5 E-Plate 67 Roadster. So yeah, that would be kind of the pinnacle car.
Good time to buy one. They're going down in value quite a bit.
They're going down, I know.
A long way now, yeah.
Yeah, far too big to fit in my garage. I've never driven one. I guess what would be cool to do is just drive one, I suppose. Like owning it's probably a completely different thing, but
yeah, I've never driven one either. I've never even been in one. I've sat in some, but I've never driven or been in one.
So yeah, he got that as so he had a friend called Phil who used to import cars and motorbikes from the US. We never went there, but yeah, from what he told us, he lived in a caravan in a warehouse.
Is this your real dad now?
So yeah, this is my dad, yeah. So yeah, dad was a coach trimmer. He had like a shop, sort of a shop front. Next to it was like a big roll shutter, and sort of up the side of the shop and kind of under his flat was a workshop you could probably get 8 cars in. Years and years ago, it was an abattoir, this place. It was kind of Victorian, I suppose. It had a cellar. But yeah, you could get about 8 cars in there. So yeah, this guy used to bring cars and bikes over. Dad would store a couple for him, store quite a lot of bikes. And sometimes he'd be paid in like a motorbike or a car or whatever. This time, I think he brought 3 E-Types over and gave Dad one of them as sort of a thank you. And it was a mess. And I remember him, like my dad telling me, like he could have sold the E-Type at that point for the same price he sold it for restored afterwards, because the classic car crash, sort of early mid-90s, classic cars fell through the floor.
Yeah.
So he did all that work and yeah, lost out on it. But yeah, that was lovely. He got it all restored. I don't know how much of it he did himself, but
do you say he was a trimmer? Was he like an upholsterer then?
Yeah, Dad was a coach trimmer, yeah. So self-taught. He was an engineer by trade. And then originally he had a Honda Civic and he had a TR7, I think, actually, before that. He wanted a sunroof, couldn't find anyone to do it. So he basically did like a night class to learn how to do it. Again, I've got a load of his books somewhere which teach you kind of how to do all the trimming stuff. So yeah, he did all of that.
How often were you at your dad's, Andy? Was it once a fortnight or something?
Every 3rd week I went.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Generally speaking, I didn't really stay. Occasionally, like maybe summer holidays, I might go and do 3 or 4 days. They had a static caravan.
Yeah.
Or we'd go up to Lincolnshire and see my grandparents, like on my dad's side.
Yeah.
So,
how were you getting to your dad? Was he taking you there and back? Or?
Yeah, generally speaking, like early days, yeah, we'd drive up to Maidstone and he'd kind of come and meet us. Then he'd drive all the way back, like that night, to drop me off. So, like, we've done quite a few episodes with kind of people who've got separated families, and at the time you don't kind of realise, especially also if you've not got kids, but the hours my dad spent in a car on the motorways, kind of running me back and forth just to see me every few weeks. It's kind of quite humbling.
Yeah.
Good, he made the effort.
Do you remember much about the journeys at all?
I'd always kind of have control of the radio. So we mentioned the Mark III Cavalier. So he bought that, and there was a tape in it when he bought it, which was kind of 90s dance. So I remember it had like The Key, The Secret by Urban Cookie Collective on it.
I remember that.
Just like, this is brilliant. And that was kind of my bag. So yeah, we'd listen to that. We'd always listen to Radio 1 dance anthems, Dave Pearce. And like before that, you'd have like the top 40. So that would be kind of the thing. And then if it wasn't that, we'd have Dire Straits, we'd have Rolling Stones, Tina Turner, a little bit of the Sex Pistols we listened to, but that wasn't really my kind of thing. Yeah, kind of the rocky stuff was sort of his bag, really. But yeah, kind of a fairly good place to kind of have a chat about stuff.
Yeah, cars are always a good place to have a chat about things. I guess you're just looking forward, aren't you? And you can have a chat. You got a bit of background noise, background music, things going on.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to know what he'd got coming in. That was kind of the interest. Like as soon as we got back to the flat, like where he lived, obviously which was above the workshop, it was straight out the back, kind of just see what what's in there. And like,
I was going to say, surely if you were fascinated in cars, you must have really enjoyed going and seeing him.
yeah,
Seeing what he was doing, where he was at, what was he driving, all that sort of things.
yeah, definitely.
Because obviously you've worked in the motoring industry since I've known you in some capacity, haven't you? So is that because of your dad, do you think, mainly, with the coach trimming and just being around there?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for as long as I can remember, I wanted to be a car designer. That was kind of the goal. Like school books and all the rest, I was drawing cars on 3-spokes. That was kind of my high school education. And yeah, I think that does come kind of from him. And like before him, my grandfather on that side, my grandpa was an engineer. So yeah, that was his background. And he had a Sunbeam Rapier, which was kind of, I guess, late 50s, early 60s car. And he had that as his daily driver for years and years and years. And he had a spare one. He had a second one. They had a really long garden. And kind of at the end of the garden was the garage. This was the house my dad grew up in. So yeah, his Rapier was in the garage. And then next to it was what we called Grandma's car, which was basically the spares car. My grandma didn't drive, but there was this extra one, which he just had for like body cuts or spare bits. Like, if he needed to fix it, then like, yeah, he'd cut a bit off it and then kind of weld it on or whatever. So yeah, cars were just in my blood, really.
Yeah.
Like I said, assume if he was still around now, then you would spend your entire life taking him down Porsche tombstone seats to retrim.
Well,
and you'd have every car would have retrimmed seats in it.
So when I was working at the shop we can't mention, and I was kind of getting into cars anyway, that's what I was doing. Like I had friends who were buying cars to scrap or bang a race, and if they got a VW in, I was pulling the interiors out of them. So at one point I had a loft and a workshop full of Volkswagen interiors. So I was fixing bolsters and stuff like that. So I'd get a seat, I'd strip it all down, I'd either take it up to my dad's or send the cover to him. He'd fix it and then I'd then fit it back onto the foam. I can't sew, but I can do everything else.
I was about to say, can you do this yourself? If so, I've got a few interiors that I need doing.
So I've got one of my dad's sewing machines, but I can't sew. It's in the garage. But basically, yeah, we'd do that. We did. So your friend Neil, John, he had a red Golf. Do you remember that?
Yeah. E36 VAT, the number plate.
Yeah, we did that. And then he had some Iron Cross motifs.
Yeah, I remember those.
And my dad sewed them on the back of the headrests for him.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we fixed the bolster wear and everything. So yeah, I did that as a little bit of a side hustle, really, and just helping mates out. I've still got kind of a few covers kicking around, but I had a proper clear out because this is just silly.
Yeah.
Like you're keeping stuff,
Hoarding.
especially at that time. Like obviously I was driving, but no one wanted just poverty spec interior. Like unless it was Recaro or unless it was kind of good GTI. I think I've got a couple of rainbow covers and stuff left and a decent foam, but that's about it. But yeah, that was kind of, he'd helped me with that. And if I went up there on school holidays, I'd work in the trim shop. So he'd be doing some like, leather interior or whatever, and he'd just give me a transit seat or something. Guy I'd brought in, it's got some fag burns, needs stripping down. So I'd strip it all down, give him the cover, he'd cut the bit out, yeah, put a new bit in, and then I put it all back together again. And I loved that. That was kind of brilliant.
And then he was doing vinyl roofs and the sunroofs. I assume it's like the Britax, Bright Max, or the ones that used to pop up.
Yeah. So yeah, he was fitting kind of glass sunroofs, I guess, in the early 80s. He'd be doing vinyl roofs for the sort of stuff that it was applicable for. You know, he wasn't just putting a vinyl roof on anything.
So your dad effectively has now devalued so many of the 80s cars now by cutting in a Renault 5, a Vauxhall Nova, a Volvo 340. He was the one that destroyed all the roofs by putting the sunroofs in them.
He was pretty entrepreneurial, which kind of at the time I didn't sort of see as such. But
no, you wouldn't, would you?
Because he had a little shop front. He was doing kind of car alarms. Then yeah, he kind of had a run where he was selling water filters. There was a bit of a sort of a Del Boy about him, really. Everything was sort of just trying to make a bit.
Hence a three-wheeler.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't his choice, but yeah.
No, yeah, yours.
I was thinking that's quite an admirable trait, I think, because you sort of think someone wants to do stuff on their own. They don't want to have to report into people and work, follow the regime. And yeah, I don't know. It's just, I think it's quite a nice quality, isn't it? Just to show that you want to graft in any way possible.
I agree, and it was tougher then. It was tougher then. It was harder to advertise.
Yeah, well, you could hide money easier, but
yeah, yes,
yeah. So yeah, I'd used to get there and I'd go and look kind of around there, and if he had anything of interest, it was kind of a case of can we take that? Sometimes he'd stack it in the workshop, so there was kind of something at the edge. So he'd take me around the block in a 328 or a 308 Ferrari or Lotus 7 type thing or whatever. He had some cool stuff.
The itchy seats had started to make sense now. So what he's doing is an upholsterer. So he stuffed them full of cash, re-stitched them back up, and you were just driving around all day, and all your seats are actually stuffed with 5s and 10s and £1 notes.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was talking about. So yeah, the E-Type, he got paid in that, so that was cool. He had an Austin Healey he bought with a mate. I think that was also from Phil. And then Phil would leave us some cars to kind of sell on. I say us, my dad, to sell it on his behalf while he was back in the US.
Okay.
They used to have the Auto Trader person come round to take photos. So if you wanted to do a photo ad, they'd send someone round to take the photo.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had an Alfa Spider for kind of a summer or two, which was pretty cool. Red one, I guess sort of early 80s, what they call like the graduate car. So we had one of them for a bit.
Nice.
We had a car called a Datsun Fairlady, which is a bit like an MGB, but it's kind of a Japanese version. And they're rare as. They're worth a fortune now. Really cool thing. That was in red. We had that for a bit. Triumph TR3. And yeah, if I went up to Dad's, he'd kind of arrange for us to go to a car show or something. We'd have a day out. He'd obviously put a for sale sign in the dashboard.
He didn't seem to have an alliance for a single brand. It's quite rare that you would jump that much. Back in there, you kind of pretty much owned, you had Vauxhalls or you had Rovers or whatever. There's a lot of jumping around from different car makes.
Yeah, so the cars that Phil brought in, generally speaking, were British. And the same with bikes, Triumphs and Nortons. Like the stuff that Dad was driving, yeah, he had the first cars I remember him having, a Honda Accord, A-plate, that had electric windows, blue corduroy seats. That was kind of a coupe.
Nice cars.
Don't see very many of them at all.
Yeah.
But that was a really nice car.
Yeah.
He had a couple of those. Yeah, he had the Cavalier. He did a couple of 405s. He got into buying stolen, recovered stuff from auctions. So for a few years, he kind of had a run of MG Metros. So he'd have them alongside his other stuff. But yeah, he did a run of MG Metros. He'd buy those with maybe slight fire damage interior or something like that. He'd try and buy stuff like mechanically it was good, but maybe the interior was a bit dodgy.
Yeah.
And fix it up. So yeah, we had a run of MG Metros, black one, red one, white one, I think.
He's after basically a good deal. I can sympathise with that. If there was a deal to be had, he was interested.
Yeah, he was always just kind of taking a punt on stuff, which I think that kind of rubbed off on me. I like, if I can find something for free and sell it, I will. So yeah, he did that. 405s. What did he have after those? He bought a Zafira. That was probably the main car he had for quite a while, and then he got into
They're tanks, those Zafiras.
They moved out of the workshop just after the millennium. We had a big party in there for the millennium. He moved out of there and he bought a bungalow and built a massive garage at the bottom of the garden, and then a carport about the same size. And then yeah, moved in there because he was obviously getting clobbered for business rates and all the rest, and kind of running the shop and everything. And it's a quiet business, really. You're not making any noise if you're on a sewing machine. You're not revving engines or spraying stuff.
No.
So yeah, he did that. And then actually at the workshop, he bought a thing called a Beaufort, which is a kit car. It's like a sort of 1920s alike thing. So yeah, he bought that and then built that up. It was an unfinished project. So he started doing weddings in that.
Oh yeah.
And then he bought a Merc. What's the big Merc? S-Class. Probably like a 2000 plate, something like that. Bought that for $3 or $4 grand, I think. A whole lot of car for the money.
Yeah, they still are.
Yeah, big thing. He put a personal plate on it, so he's using that for weddings as well. And then yeah, sadly, kind of Dad got bowel cancer, so it kind of took a little bit of a nosedive with the amount he was being able to do. He'd lost. So my grandma and grandpa had already gone, and he bought this Auburn, 1935 Aubans. He bought that when he was poorly, actually. He'd spend a lot of time, if he wasn't out in the garage working, he'd be watching Bangers and Cash, but like the American versions as well. And he'd just kind of have a little notepad of kind of stuff that was interesting. He'd keep an eye out for it. So yeah, he bought this Auburn, which he got on the road. He used a couple of times, but
was that like a dream car or something for him? Because that's completely different to everything else.
I guess it was sort of the real version of the Beaufort to a certain extent. But yeah, he bought it with an eye on it being worth more than it was. Sadly, I don't think it was sold for more than he bought it for. But I guess, yeah, that's kind of the times, really. But yeah, it could have been a Merc SL or something. Equally, he had a hit list, basically, of stuff he was interested in, stuff that he'd researched and stuff that he thought he could kind of turn some money on. And it just so happened that one came up. But yeah, quite a cool car. You don't see them.
No, not at all.
No.
They're just out of our generation, though, aren't they? That's one of the reasons.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have any interest in cars like that, and a lot of people our age don't really.
No, I don't think particularly I'd want it. And look, we've touched on the podcast quite a few times about having cars that your parents have owned. And like the both of the wedding car went to kind of one of his best friends, John, who he did weddings with. And so he's still got the car. It's still on the road, which is cool.
That's cool, yeah.
But I could play the game in your head. Like, if it came to me, what would I do with it? It's like, in some ways, that's been taken out of my hands. The fact it's gone to someone else means I've not had to make this choice, which is like, now I've got this albatross around my neck, which is like a car that's 25 foot long or whatever it is, that you can't put anywhere, but you can't bring yourself to get rid of because it was built by your dad.
Yeah, I do get that. Would be tough.
And yeah, he'd kind of done all of that. He'd kind of custom done the interior with it.
Yeah.
He'd engineered his own hood frame. They do a hood frame for him, but they're rubbish. He'd made his own one, like with all the kind of angles, so it all folded flat. It looked kind of really good. So he'd done an awful lot of work on that car.
You sound very skilled.
Yeah.
To redo a roof frame, that's not easy.
Yeah. He'd made kind of all these templates out of kind of wood and then steel and tacked it all together and then made it all. And then obviously once he'd made the final one, he'd powder coated it, etc. But yeah, he was kind of wired as an engineer. That was like problem solver.
Can you do lots of stuff like that? Has that taken on to you or not?
I can weld. Like, I taught myself to weld on the Polo I bought. So I guess I am programmed like that to a certain extent. Yeah.
If there's a shelf to be put up in the house, do you put it up?
Yeah.
Okay, you don't call a man to put up a shelf.
No. Yeah, we just had the loft converted, so someone's done that, and like when we had the garage built, someone did that. But
yeah, they're quite big jobs. So I'll let you off for that one.
But yeah, if it's decorating or putting shelves up or something along those lines, then yeah, I'll give it a crack.
Just a completely off topic thing, but what I've kind of learned from this, have you two known each other for a very long time?
So we met in the shop that can't be named in
2000, what do you reckon, 4, 5, something like that, I think.
Something like that. I started with them in 2001.
Yeah.
And then moved to Bognor. So yeah, we've known each other for quite a few years.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say 20 years. Yeah.
Just because there was quite a few reference things back and forth, and I thought, it sounds like you've known each other for definitely a long time. I had no idea, and I guess from listening to the podcast, because it's not about either of you two, you don't pick up on that friendship.
Yeah, we've never been kind of spending all time with each other. Like we probably did 10 years. We did like 10 years or so where we've probably not seen each other. So yeah, we'd kind of bumped into each other at sort of work leaving parties and things like that, and stayed in touch with some of the people who we were working with. But
it's a bit of a strange one, really. Like, yeah, because obviously we did work with each other, saw each other every day, and then I think I've managed to escape the place where we used to work together first, and then slowly but surely you did, and then various other people we knew did. So we just about kept contact, I think.
Yeah, and then you ended up in the cleaning game, didn't you, for a bit? Cleaning, kind of detailing type stuff.
Yeah, detailing products. Yeah. Yeah, not SIF, not that sort of thing.
So yeah, we just sort of stayed in contact with some ideas. So yeah, when I came up with this, it was a case of I need someone I've got a bit of a rapport with, someone who's got an interest in cars. I think obviously John lost his father while we were working there, didn't you? So kind of 20 years ago, I guess.
2007 that was, yeah.
So yeah, obviously that would kind of ring true as well. So it was a case of, do you fancy doing this and giving it a go?
Yeah, I suppose I guess it does help with the nostalgia aspect as well. The fact that we've known each other that long, and you kind of recite stories and memories from back in the day. It does help, doesn't it? With all the like chipping in with those beaded seat covers. It's probably something that was sold in that shop where we used to work, I'd imagine. That would break.
You got reference points against each other, so that's what I noticed. If you did this, or so you knew someone that did this, or whatever it was. That's why I was asking. I was just intrigued.
I just googled those beaded seat covers a while ago. I'm on a Reddit thread.
Oh yeah. First
comment. Apparently, these seat covers are supposed to be good for your back, but I remember sitting on these things as a kid, and they were painful. Lol. They hit their stride in the early 80s.
Yeah, they were a funny one, weren't they?
Yeah, they were strange. As a kid in the 90s, I thought this was the peak of luxury. That's funny.
You mentioned the 90s, so kind of days out with Dad, we did quite a bit of Brands Hatch. So remember, I went to the British Truck Grand Prix with him in 1990.
Yeah,
which was pretty cool. And then we used to go and watch touring cars, like in Super Tour era. So kind of back when it was proper, like Alan Menu.
Yeah,
the Alphas, Tarquini, etc. Matt Neal.
Yeah.
Belland.
Plato.
So yeah, that was kind of, and Superbikes as well. We'd go and see. I saw a guy with one arm motorbike racing once, which was pretty spectacular.
Wow.
And he was good. And that's something to watch.
That was one of your things you said about driving an automatic. You said one of the family members had one leg shorter than the other. Because I often joke with that and say the only reason you're allowed like an automatic Porsche is because you're missing a leg or got one leg shorter than the other. And I never expect someone to come out and say that's the reason why. But you had someone in your family with one leg shorter than the other, so they drove an auto.
Yeah, that's my dad.
Yeah, is it? Okay.
So my dad at 17, he had like a cafe racer Triton, which is kind of mixture Triumph Norton, and he got knocked off it by a lady in a Mini, smashed into his right side. Basically, the bones in his leg kind of concertinaed into each other.
Oh.
So one leg was basically 3 inches or something like that shorter than the other. His right hand was clawed, but he basically had to teach himself to walk again, right with his left hand, not his right.
Oh, that's not.
Sorry, how old was he at this point?
17 or 18.
Wow.
He was in hospital for 9 months.
Jesus.
Did your dad have any brothers or sisters?
No, he was an only child.
No, right,
So yeah,
okay.
literally, my grandma was told, A, he'll not make it. B, if he makes it, like he won't kind of be much of a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll never walk again. He'll never have children. Never have a family, etc. So yeah, it was one of the ways I could come to terms with the fact I lost him. Like he was on borrowed time from kind of his teenage years.
Yeah.
By all accounts, he shouldn't have kind of made it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had one leg shorter than the other. I think his first car was a Mini, and my grandpa swapped, I think, the brake and the clutch, or the accelerator and the clutch round, so they were the wrong way round, so that his good leg could do one and not the other, or something like that.
Oh, that sounds a serious accident waiting to happen.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go and move your car. Yeah, give me the keys. Bang! Why are all the pedals back in front?
But yeah, he, generally speaking, he drove autos. Although, yeah, he could drive manuals, so he'd move manuals around.
Seems a crazy trade to get into if he had all those problems. For someone that's then had to teach themselves to swap hands,
Yeah.
that sounds a hard trade to teach yourself.
So yeah, he did a few kind of race, like Brands Hatch did the race schools and stuff like that. So he did a single seater one of those. He did a rally driving one. He did one in an XR3, and they would have all been manual. So
Wow.
he didn't let it get in his way.
No, not at all.
He had shoes which were kind of built up a bit, so they sort of leveled him a little bit.
To stop him walking around in circles.
Yeah, I used to joke, you could walk on a hill straight.
Yeah.
Like, you could walk around Brooklands like with his everything level.
Yeah, like when you see sheep stood on a steep, you think, well, have they got one leg shorter than the other? How are they standing upright? That's got to make your feet feel funny. He would be one of them.
Yeah.
Just always standing on a curb.
So yeah, I think kind of in later life, his back must have kind of been under some pressure. The fact that everything was kind of over to one side, like,
Yeah.
and car seats weigh a bit, so there he's kind of lugging around a car seat. And the guy he worked with, John, he was also into motorbikes. He broke his back and his neck, I think, coming off a bike.
Jesus.
So between them, they probably didn't have a decent bone in their body, like, and they were.
I think between them, they both needed one of those beaded seat covers.
So yeah,
I was going to say, I thought cutting Britax sunroofs into old cars sends shivers down my spine, but this definitely feels worse.
yeah, amazing that he kind of just got on with it and just didn't let it stop him.
Yeah, that's a hard trade to do when you've had to do that as well.
Yeah, he walked with a stick, but yeah, he had a blue badge, to be fair to him, so we got quite a nice parking at Brands.
Useful.
Between where the Grand Prix circuit goes off and comes back again, there was like where the ambulances are now, but that was like the disabled paddock, so you could sit kind of out the sunroof or on the roof of the car, on the bonnet, kind of watch the racing.
Nice.
Back in the days when disabled spaces were used for disabled people.
Well, yeah, we can't comment, can we? But
That's a whole episode.
misuse of.
But in a genuine thing, back then you would actually get a great parking space guaranteed. As where now, if you went to Legoland to park a disabled car park, you don't stand a chance.
Yeah, you probably still got a mile to walk. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be full up. It will just be full. But back then, you would actually, like you were saying, you got a great parking space because it was a genuine reason.
Yeah. And he did his best. Like we'd still kind of walk round to the pits and stuff. It'd take him a bit of time, but yeah, we'd do it.
If you said to me now, you got right, do your shoelaces up with your left hand. I go, hang on a minute. This is going to take a little bit of time. This is.
Yeah. If you try and do anything with your left hand, you're not used to it. But yeah, he taught himself to do that. He did his degree, I think, while he was in hospital. I think he must have been slightly older than that, or he did his A levels in hospital. But yeah, was kind of motivated to. He didn't let him get it down.
Just about to say that it didn't stop him.
No.
He didn't sit and mope about. He's like, right, let's get on with this. This is my lot. Let's make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think from I mean, you've got countless stories and tales, haven't you? What an interesting life your dad had.
Yeah.
And he's clearly left his mark on you, Andy, hasn't he? So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be here doing this. And in many ways, had I not lost him, I probably wouldn't be doing this. The fact I've lost him, kind of one of my motivations from that was kind of try and do stuff that if he'd say yes to it, I'd say yes to it. Or if I get an opportunity that he'd want to do, I'd kind of take it. So
How long ago did you lose him?
7 years, I think, or 8 years. 8 years, January.
Okay, so yeah, not age and ages, but
No, not ages and ages. He was, I think, 65 or 66.
okay.
So, of no real age, really.
Yeah, no, not at all.
yeah, mine was 65.
Yeah, he was sort of winding down work. He'd have kept doing stuff. He'd sort of built the wedding business to do in his retirement.
Yeah.
That's kind of a nice Sunday job to have. And like, you're retired, going to potter around in an old car, take a few people to a wedding, gives you a bit of pocket money.
And a purpose and something to do, isn't it? So
Yeah. So yeah, he would have kept doing that, and he'd have done a few jobs for people. But yeah, it kind of got him, sadly.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a shame.
Well, I mean, we've got the memories, haven't we? And yeah, I mean, like I say, 2007 was the loss for me, and I sort of, it seems like, well, it's a different lifetime now, isn't it? It's a different world back then, and
Yeah.
I always sort of think to myself, he passed when I think the iPhone may have come out around about the same time, maybe the year before.
Yeah.
So yeah, like smartphones were, well, they were non-existent really, and you could still smoke in a pub, all that sort of thing. It's just, yeah, you just look back and think different world, and you think where you were at the time as well. Different for me, obviously. I didn't have any kids or anything back then, or a house. So yeah, time's definitely a good healer, I think.
Yeah. Thank you very much for listening to me waffle, guys.
That's all right.
No, it's good. We could probably go for another hour, couldn't we? There's so many stories.
Yeah, I could say it's interesting.
Maybe we'll do a part 2 at some point.
Yeah.
We need to flip it round, surely. Surely John needs a turn as well.
We did a bit on John's, but yeah.
The 200th episode.
200th episode.
Well, I mean, it's the sort of memories start to fade. I mean, I don't get emotional at all, like talking about my dad or anything, because it's just such a long time ago now. I just sort of, I don't know, it's just because it's me and I'm not as emotional as some people, but you know, I'm not in any way sort of, well, I don't think I'm like scarred or anything or get sort of teary about it or anything like that. It's just, I think it's just literally because the memories are now just sort of such a long time ago.
Yeah.
You just move on, don't you, really? You get your own family and yeah.
I suppose you've got memories to a point and then they stop and then you've got new ones after that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's a strange one. It's interesting talking to people that come on that have lost their parents, and because we speak to people that have lost people in the last year or maybe in the last 10 years. It's all different, isn't it, to where people are in the sort of process of, I don't know, healing, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on your relationship and what contact you had and all those kind of stuff. So I suppose that makes a big difference. Like I see, you know, my dad's still around. He's, well, in a couple of weeks, he's be 79, and I see him all the time. I see him, you know, at least once a week. So
yeah.
So if I suddenly didn't have him around, I would be lost, because he comes over. He often helps me do things in the garden or, you know, around the house or whatever.
Yeah.
For me, it'd be a really big loss. So
going to hit you in the wallet, that is.
Yeah.
Gardener and a handyman.
Yeah, he's so useful, because again, he's retired, but he just likes to keep busy.
Yeah.
So he's fitter now than when he was 40, I think. But he likes helping out, and I appreciate it, because I always got a lot on. So to have someone that comes and helps is massively useful.
Yeah.
My mum the same. She comes and helps as well.
That's what keeps you going, isn't it? It keeps you young. If you just keep active, keep the brain ticking over and the body going, then
yeah, agree. Where we've got Poppy, who's 11, is my eldest daughter. Then we've just literally had another one who's now 4 months old, April, which was never planned, never anything. But suddenly, my parents now have kind of got a new lease, because there's this little baby that they can look on. So which they never thought. They thought they, you know, they had one grandchild and that was that. And suddenly they're now back into looking after a baby, and they love it. They both enjoy spending time and stuff with her, which they never expected to happen again. So I guess, like you said, these things give you a little extra lease of life and a little boost as you go along, don't they?
Definitely. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, thank you very much for listening to me chat and asking the questions. And yeah, hopefully people at home have enjoyed hearing a bit more about my background. We won't do a kind of a long wrap up. I think kind of an hour and whatever on this episode is probably significant enough for people's listening pleasure. Thanks for joining us, Paul.
Cheers, Paul.
Yeah, it's great.
Thanks as ever, John.
Cheers, mate. See you later.
Wrap it up. Roll the credits.
you for listening to my dad's car. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please support us. Buy us a coffee and subscribe. And tell all your friends.